And really, this is all there is to it. There's no fanfare, there's no nothing. You just hook it up, you pair it, and you freaking play now. And that's it. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, my dear nerd. Everybody here, they love a good Android handheld. For us, in this niche, in this passion kind of bubble that we have on YouTube and beyond, Android handhelds have been the epiphany. They have been the, let's say, gold standard of mobile emulation that we had up until this point. And it's solely because of the darn ecosystem. We can emulate almost everything that we want, everything on Android. Almost everything, including happiness. But here on Blood Nerds, I have to tell you the absolute truth of things, and the absolute truth is that when we buy an Android handheld, when it comes to dollar per performance, when it comes to the ROI, you know, the return on investment, that's equivalent of us getting taken to the woods with a bottle of wine and outright fornicated. Because it's not because it's not the best price to performance that we could get on an Android device. And this has always bothered me with Android handhelds. Don't get me wrong, I love them. I'm starting to have quite a little collection of Android handhelds, which is shocking considering how small this channel still is. I know that I could have spent my money more wisely, and this is what this video is about. I'm gonna show you the cheapest, and I'm not even kidding, the freaking cheapest device that offers the most performance on Android and a very, very good emulation experience that I could feasibly freaking find on this whole entire planet. And I'm not even joking, I dare someone to show me a better bang for the buck. So anyway, annoying intros aside, this whole video is about... Wait for it, have to be sure the freaking screen is void of fingerprints before I show you. But this is about the ALLDOCUBE iPlay 60 Turbo. I mean, seriously, just look at this. Just look at how freaking beautiful it looks, and it can emulate up to PS2 and even some Switch. This tablet by itself can pretty much do what most Android handhelds can do nowadays, and I truly think that tablets don't get enough respect and they don't get enough use or mass adoption when it comes to emulating stuff as they should. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. I should tell you why this tablet is actually kind of special for its price range. But first, before I do that, I just want to quickly say that this specific ALLDOCUBE iPlay 60 Turbo, I still think this name is a mouthful, I miss single word names to be honest, but this one was sent by the awesome guys at ALLDOCUBE themselves, and I love them for this. But as always, my dear nerd, this review is my own. Nobody saw this beforehand, nobody had any say whatsoever in this review. My thoughts are my own, as they will always be. So having said that, let's freaking dive into this thing. It's quite, wait for it, amazing for what it is. First of all, I will outright say that the whole gimmick of this tablet is that you get a freaking metric ton of performance for a low price. That's kind of it. There's nothing more special about it than this. This baby right here has a Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 processor, which roughly translates to 10 to 20% more performance than what we get in the Anbernic line of Android handhelds. This being the RG Cube, RG556, RG406V, and RG406H. I hope I didn't miss any of them. In case I did, you know, this whole thing is without a script. It is what it is. You must still love me. But that processor is freaking awesome. First of all, it's a Snapdragon, which means that emulators are naturally more optimized. Second of all, and this is very, very important, it's 4 nanometers. The transistor size in the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 the SoC on this thing, I mean, is 4 nanometers. This means, my dear nerds, that whenever it's in full load, it sips battery. It sips it like fine wine. As a point of reference, the Unisoc processors in Anbernic Handhelds is 6 nanometers. The one in the new Retroid Pocket 5 is 7 nanometers. The one in, let me think, the one in the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, ironically enough, it's 6 nanometers, not 7 like in the newer generation of the 5. And this one is only 4, similar to the most modern SoCs in flagship phones. It's entering under my nail. Freaking heck. Yeah, yes. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now this is the life. Just look at this IPS, Full HD I might add, screen right now. It's absolutely beautiful. No backlight bleed. The iPlay 60 Turbo also has 8 gigs of RAM. On their website they say 16 gigs of hybrid RAM, which is just a fancy word of using virtual RAM, which back in my day was called a page file, and everybody knowing what page file is knows that that's not really RAM. So real RAM, this one has 8 gigs, but it's more than enough for what we need. And of course an SD card slot, 128 gig of internal memory, and that's about it, to be honest. We have dual speakers, which is nice. Everybody likes dual speakers. The USB-C is a bit on the left. I don't know why it's not centered. This I thought would affect us using third-party telescopic controllers, but it actually doesn't. The back is fairly simple, not much of a outlandish design, but this is what I love about it. I don't want my tablets or my devices or even my handhelds to turn a lot of heads. I want them to be good and to turn heads in a good way, but I don't want them to be dressed up like a peacock just for the sake of attracting stares. No. When I'm on a train, I want them to fade in the background. I don't want people to notice them. And this tablet just looks like a normal iPad or Android tablet. I love this about it. And that, my dear nerds, is how a freaking tablet for emulation is supposed to be made in case we want it to shine. It's that simple. Let me show you some games that this thing can run at $125. Remember this price tag in your head, okay? For $125 we can't get poop. We can't get a lot of things. At most we get 2 Linux handhelds which top at Dreamcast and a portion of the PSP library, or if we're lucky we get something like the ALLDOCUBE, which, don't get me wrong, is a nice handheld, but you don't have an 8-inch plus screen in this price category. It's this simple. Every game, no matter the console, is just way better enjoyed when we have a big screen like this. I summoned 2 of my favorite controllers here. This is the Bluetooth version of the GameSir G8. Mounting it is really simple. And really, this is all there is to it. There's no fanfare, there's no nothing. You just hook it up, you pair it, and you freaking play now. And that's it. People usually don't go with this solution of tablet plus telescopic tablet because they hate the spine. They hate this back section. But I personally couldn't ever understand this. It's all about the immersion, my dear nerds. It's about you and the screen you're facing. You're not interacting with the back. You're not playing with the back of the tablet. You're just looking at this, and this just looks and feels like a big freaking handheld. But for this handheld in particular, I'm not using the GameSir G8 Plus. This is actually paired with my Lenovo Yoga 700 2023. So the designated controller for it is this one. This is give me a second. The Absolute S9. I didn't want to butcher the name. And this is a very good controller for a 8+ inch tablet. The difference, however, is that this one also has a USB-C. But usually I just use this tablet in conjunction with this controller while also having a case on. This case I actually modified myself. It didn't used to be like this with the whole thing. This actually used to be a cover case which would also cover the front, but I got the old cutter and some super glue to make it more like a sort of, I don't know, for the sake of a better word, a Surface, a Microsoft Surface, which has a stand like this. And when I'm not using the stand, I can simply use it with a controller like this. Partly because the Absolute S9 has a very long USB-C. And the benefit of this is that I can play it in a sort of console mode, which is very nice, and this builds up to the main premise of this tablet. You see, this tablet in particular has been made by me in such a setup that I can literally use it anywhere. I can use it as a sort of big 8-inch handheld like this. I also ordered a tiny controller, a tiny very pocketable controller from AliExpress, which unfortunately didn't arrive in time for this video, but I plan on using this as a sort of, let's say, all-in-one kind of console with that tiny controller while I'm traveling. Even though I'm not really traveling a lot, but in my fantasies, I like to believe that if I'm gonna travel, this would be my go-to setup. Because this tablet in particular, at $125 freaking dollars, also has USB video out. Meaning that you can connect it to a TV and you can go to town on it. You can play whatever you want. Meaning that I can use it for PS2, for example. And bear in mind, this Courtyard is the most hard to emulate part of Legacy of Kain. And for the most part, it runs like butter. Just look at it. It's a freaking portable, big screen, portable PS2 at this point. Blood Rain, in case you remember this game, it was released in, I would say, 2001, if I remember correctly. This one is also flawless, pretty much. Most PlayStation 2 games that I tested work at around 2x. That's kind of the highlight of this thing. Some very hard to emulate, you might have to take down to 1.5x. Others you might actually be able to increase to 2.5x, which I would argue is more than enough for most people, including myself. You know, I'm just gonna let you appreciate this scene in Blood Rain. It's just something else. Yeah, something else, I told you. Pum 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 pum. I'm just a hot vampire chick. Nobody can tell me otherwise. Pum 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 pum. Pum 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 pum. I assume I don't really have to actually show you PS2 in order for you to know that it runs, but just for the fun of it, let's look at a bit of God of War, which runs actually kind of flawless. Pum 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 pum. And here I'll meet a puppy, if I remember correctly. A big puppy. Yeah. Dun, dun, pum 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 pum. I am freaking mother. Ah, no, this is the puppy. Yeah, I remembered the freaking puppy. So anyway, PSP works like a charm. If it can run God of War, it can run basically anything else at quite a decent resolution. Right now this was running at 4x, which is 1080p, and putting it at more than 4x would just be redundant because you don't need that. The display itself is basically 1080p. More than that would just waste your battery faster. Now, I'm not gonna show you Nintendo Switch games because obviously I don't want to be the newest victim of, you know, Nintendo, which, Nintendo, I love you, it's just a joke, relax. But Broforce works as it should, Cuphead works as it should, and I'm not gonna show you more than that. There's some other games as well, Switch games that work as they should, but with Switch games you need to be a bit more tempered with what you expect. For example, the highly intensive 3D games will not work as intended, plus a thing that you need to remember is that because this has the Snapdragon 6 Generation 1, there's really and unfortunately no turnip drivers for it yet, meaning that the emulator itself would not be able to use anything else than its default drivers, and this might cause some quirks in some games. Some might work perfectly, others might not, there's a bit of wiggle room there. I'm not gonna tell you to get this for Switch, because I'm not promoting piracy, Nintendo, calm down. But yeah, there's potential here. And outside of this, anything else that you can imagine, honestly, anything else that you can emulate on Android, it simply works on this tablet. It's that simple. And I would just want to remind you of the importance, that's why I love this thing, of the importance of that 4nm transistor node which this SoC has. It sips battery. The battery is not that big, I think it's 5500 milliamps. That's not a big battery for a tablet. Although, after looking it up, most Android tablets have a battery range, a battery size at around 5000 to 6000 milliamps. So I'm not gonna throw stones at this tablet for not being different than all the rest. And for those interested, here's a bit of B-roll with it connected to the TV. It can do video out via USB, so you can use feasibly any dock that you already have in the house. Just make sure to use a proper high-speed HDMI cable. Apparently that matters a whole lot. I had a bit of lag when I tested this, but I didn't when I tested it on this monitor right here. So, how committed am I to this tablet, considering that I have another, for all intents and purposes, gaming tablet in the house? Well, I'm gonna use this as the primary gaming tablet, even though it's less performant than the Lenovo Y700 2023, simply because that one has my personal accounts and my private stuff in it, while this one is almost exclusively, I mean actually exclusively, for entertainment and for emulation and for games, and that's it. And I'm so dedicated to giving it a permanent role in my house that I actually stuffed a 512 gig SD card in this thing. This little bastard of a tablet, this cute little, somewhat little guy, will have so much entertainment value in it. Now, it's not the most performant, I'm not gonna tell you that it is, but again, the price that it has, especially now since AliExpress has Black Friday, it's out of this world. Think of it. This kind of emulation we would expect at, what, $250, $300? Okay, 250, let's go with 250. 125. Need I say more? I don't need to try to sell you on this. I don't necessarily want you to buy this. It's just that it's my job to tell you where the most price to performance Goldilocks area is. And even if we like it or not, it's not in Android handhelds. It's in tablets and in second-hand phones. A second-hand phone that you buy for $100 these days, and which you would pair with a controller, is honestly more of a value proposition than a dedicated Android tablet. Even though I know people have huge preferences, I won't call them issues, but preferences, to having their controllers incorporated in the same shell as the device itself. That's what an Android handheld actually is. You know, let's face it, it's an Android device with controllers incorporated in it. That's it. So, to wrap things up, if you want a gaming tablet and if you're cheap like me and you don't want to spend a ton of money on it, of course get it. I fully endorse it. You can find it from a link in my description. It's an affiliate link, you know the story. The price for you will remain the same, but if you get it from that link, you also help the channel out by a bit. So, my dear nerd, this is it from me. I will see you in the next video. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope I edit this very fast. So if you see a few rough edges, just know that I'm trying a faster release schedule here. I'm still getting used to it. Might be good, it might suck. If it ends up being horrible, I'm gonna revert back to the previous way in which I edited and made videos. But here's hoping this will allow me eventually to make one video per day, which is the holy grail of my objective with YouTube, to have as many conversations with you as possible, if only if it weren't for this long editing process, you know? But anyway, my nerd, anyway, this is all from me. I love you very much. I always did, and I always will. See you in the next video, my dear nerd. Mandatory nerd kisses, you know?